it over to you. Okay, it's a go.
Continue.
Gavin, welcome. Good morning, everybody. Please start whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you very much. And yes, welcome to the second session. We're going through the text, Atisha's homage or instructions, really. There's a kind of homage as well, because she's talking about the qualities of the bodhisattvas, but actually it's instructions to these wayward Tibetans of how to it's a kind of a mind training, really, because I mean Atisha and the Kadampa tradition kind of really started the whole mind training tradition, and so it is a kind of mind training. In fact, I think it's included in, yes, it's included in the mind training, in the 100 mind trainings. It's in there, and so it is a mind training, and yeah, so we can see it as that as well. So I don't know where we got up to. I think it was something like make plain your own failings, don't look for faults in others, make known the good points of others, keep quiet about your best qualities. Yeah, oh, that's not so, last one not so difficult for me. But anyway, so yeah, then it says let go of craving for gain and honor. The Tibetan, the order is a bit different here. Craving for gain, give up the urge for profit and fame. Profit and fame. Yes, it simply says give up. Yeah, abandon profit, fame, abandon yeah, but possessions, and kuti is like honor. Now, honor because in old Tibet, honor was reserved for the monastic tradition. They would be served, you know, and sponsored and patroned by the lay community. I suppose in our sort of society, it equates to being sort of spoken, you know, good about. You know, we like someone to speak the good things about us, and so we, you know, we like to be liked if we do something. I mean, you know, I always remember sort of John Lennon when he was in New York. New York, there you go. After all his success with the Beatles, you know, he's one of the most famous people in the world, and he made this record where what was it called? Double Fantasy. Was it called Double Fantasy? I think it was Double Fantasy, with Yoko. And the first thing he did when he finished the record was to read the papers and to see what people thought of it. He was very, you know, and it struck me that someone who was so famous and had so much adoration, adulation, still felt the need to receive felt the need to have some sort of honor and fame and sort of his music when he proved himself 1,000 times over. So it's that kind of thing that we should, you know, it's like always the translators and the authors. You know, people say that when a translator picks up a book, or an author, an academic Buddhist picks up a book, they immediately go to the back, see if their name is in it, see if they were credit. So I think it's that kind of thing. You know, he says here, yeah. Kuti is in Tibetan means honor, but I think we can say it means sort of, you know, reputation. Nye means possessions, you know, possessions. What does it say here? Gain, yes, gain. Okay, yeah, gain. Yes, it always means wanting to have, you know, the next, the latest iPhone. Yeah, and not being content with the one you've got, but always wanting more. So that kind of gain and honor. Honor is a strange word, but maybe we could respect these days. You know, people like respect. Give me some respect. And profit. Yes. Yeah, profit and fame. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Then it says, cultivate love and compassion, make your body chitta stable, avoid the 10 unwholesome actions, make your faith make your faith and confidence strong, not be strong, make your faith and confidence strong. So there again, that's verse 5. The Tibetan's a bit different here. It says the word cultivate here in Tibetan is also the word for meditate. So gom, meditate, because the word for meditate in Tibetan means to become familiar with. Meditate doesn't mean to sit silently with your eyes closed. It doesn't mean that. Meditate has a sense of cultivating, of developing. It's something you do again and again and again. When you hear about sort of retreats in which they do 100,000 of this mantra, 100,000 of that mantra, 100,000 prostrations, and it seems an awful obsession with numbers, but it isn't. It's about cultivate. The more you do something, the more integrated it becomes into your mind. The more you think about the sort of the faults of thinking me all the time, the more you think that, the less that strong sense of me is there. It reduces. So meditation is a gradual, it's a process. And so the word cultivate is good here. Sometimes you'll see meditate, but here I think cultivate is good. Love and compassion. Love is the wish for everyone to be happy. You want people to be happy, even your enemies, even those you don't like. Even Donald Trump, you should wish for Donald Trump to be happy. It might be not easy, but why not? And I remember when His Holiness the Dalai Lama was I think he was in Europe, and he mentioned the Serbian leader, Milosevic. Milosevic was this dreadful sort of Serbian leader who was responsible for the deaths of thousands of people and ended up being put in prison for life. I mean, he was reviled throughout Europe. I don't know if you're familiar with that war way back. And the Dalai Lama said we should feel compassion for him, so sorry for him, And he got a lot of criticism. The Dalai Lama got a lot of criticism for that. How can you feel compassion for why should we feel compassion for someone so vile? So it unfortunately, love and compassion is not selective. It doesn't. You can't choose who you feel compassion for. It includes all sentient beings. The crucial word there is all. It's not some sentient beings. It's all of them. And it means even those you don't like. It's very difficult because sometimes we feel that people have a right to suffer. They should suffer. They should be deprived of love and compassion because of what they have done. But there's a great difference between the sin and the sinner, as the Christians will say. Despise the sin, not the sinner, and as that's true in Buddhism too. As the Buddha said, or the real enemy is ignorance. It's not the person. It's the ignorance, our inner ignorance, and in terms of other people, it's their ignorance, their misperception of the nature of reality, their misunderstanding of what brings happiness. If Milosevic knew the causes of happiness, he wouldn't have done what he did, but he didn't. He was beset by a powerful nationalism and a historical hatred of the neighboring countries, in Croatia and other countries that they tend to be quite nationalistic people anyway, and so this burned him up and led him to be blind to the sufferings of others. And so in that sense, he is worthy of compassion. I think the problem is that when people say, well, we should be compassionate to others, they kind of mix in the compassion with forgiveness or with turning a blind eye to what they have done. But it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that we forget or even necessarily forgive what people have done. I mean, it's clear what they have done. After all, if it wasn't for the fact that they have committed such evil deeds, we would not have that ability to feel compassion for their ignorance, right? So it's not a question that you can feel compassion and love and feel sorry for someone, in the same way as a mother or father will, look at a child who's done something wrong, their own child, and criticize and chastise them and tut and even punish them for what they did. But deep inside, they only want the best for the child. So cultivate love and compassion. It's only 4 words, but you could spend your entire life with those 4 words: love, the wish to be happy; compassion, the wish that people should not suffer, even if you think they deserve it. Yeah. Anyway, make your bodhicitta stable. Yeah, bodhicitta is the result of meditating on love and compassion. Bodhicitta is the wish to attain enlightenment for the sake of all beings. It is something that arises from compassion and love. In the Ornament of Insight by Maitreya is described as, the wish to attain enlightenment, to attain enlightenment for the sake of all living beings. And Jason Karpa describes the feeling of bodhicitta should be like as powerful and strong as the grief that a mother who has just lost her only child feels. A mother, Thupten Jimba was talking about this the other day. I was listening to him, and he put this really well. When a mother loses her child, the grief of losing a child stays with her, no matter what she does, for years. It's always there in the background. And our bodhicitta should be like that. Whatever we do, and somehow in the background, we should have that yearning. We want to be a better person, to be wiser, in order to be of benefit to others. That it should be like that. One of the words for compassion is dawa, and dawa has a kind of akin with some kind of aching grief, it's a painful word. It's a painful word. It's a sort of a bodhicitta is a sort of almost a sort of an emotional sort of yearning inside, which is always there somehow in the background. I mean, it's not something that we just sort of do when we take refuge, but it's stable. And stable, that stable, firm, it should be there all the time. There's they say, when you meditate on emptiness, your mind is not, there is no bodhicitta in your mind, right? You're meditating on emptiness is an analysis, a penetration of the nature of reality. At that moment, there is no yearning, a manifest yearning to attain enlightenment. There's no manifest compassion, because you can't possibly do it at the same time. It's impossible, because we're not enlightened beings. So when you meditate on things like impermanence and the nature of reality, bodhicitta is not manifest there. It's not actually there. Yeah. But it's in the background. And when you come out of meditation on emptiness, then that bodhicitta should arise. So Buddhism talks about bodhicitta grasped by wisdom. It's grasped by bodhicitta, grasped by wisdom. Wisdom grasped by bodhicitta. It's held, but it doesn't mean to say that it's always there. I mean, Shantideva says, isn't it? Even if you've got bodhicitta, if you go out and get blind drunk, you still gather merit. Although even if you're drunk, bodhicitta may not actually be manifest, but it's there somehow. And so in all times, it should be there either as some sort of manifest yearning or or someone in the background. That's what stable means, stable. Avoid the 10 unwholesome actions. Well, as a translator, I always have a problem with how to translate this word wholesome in Tibetan punya, Sanskrit punya, gewa. The common translation is virtuous, the 10 non-virtuous actions, non-virtuous virtues. Some say positive, negative, some say wholesome, unwholesome. There are many words, to describe this, but what actually is a wholesome action? What is it? And the definition, there's two things here. The definition of a wholesome action in Buddhism is that which brings the fruit of happiness to self and others. That's what it is, right? It's not inherently good from its own side. It's not that someone came down a mountain and said, thou shalt not do this, that. It's not that. If it produces happiness in self and others, it is good. It is good, no matter what you call it, no matter what it's called in the world. If it produces happiness in others, it is said to be good. I like that. I think that's very important, because it kind of frees us up from being too bound by thou shalt not do this, thou shalt not do. It's up for us as individuals to decide if what we're doing is good, with our mindfulness, awareness, conscientiousness, concentration, those four things we talked about last time. If, I sometimes think we Westerners, when we first start practicing Buddhism, we get a little bit too trapped by the rules, the kind of thou shalt not do this type of, we get a little bit trapped by it. And of course, they are, we have to follow them, but it should be understood why they're good and why they're not good. The other reason, and the Dalai Lama, he talked about this in the book that I'm translating. He said, if you think about it, if you look at the 10 non-virtues, or the 10 unwholesome deeds, why are they unwholesome? All right. One of the reasons that they're unwholesome is they obviously long-term karmic results of suffering as well, but they also cause problems in society at that particular time. Right. So in ancient India, though certain actions cause disturbance and pain in the society, because of that, they were deemed not to be good. They were deemed to be non-virtuous. Now, this has a lot of implications if you think about how society has changed. I mean, I don't want to go into all it, but I mean, you can think about how killing is wrong in all societies. You don't have to be. It's not a particularly Buddhist sort of precept not to kill. It's wrong everywhere, and so that. And why is it wrong everywhere? Because it causes so much pain. It takes away the life of another human being and causes so much misery for those who are the loved ones around that person. So it is wrong. And that's why it's wrong. If there comes a day where killing is not wrong, then maybe, and nobody minds, but then maybe things would change. And if we think about the modern attitudes towards sex, especially gay sex, which is a big problem, because the 10 non-virtues, adultery includes gay sex. So and although primarily it's talking about the sort of sleeping with the wife or the woman of another, but it doesn't mention women sleeping with the husband of another, because in those days these things were aimed at a patriarchal society where it was about men, men. And so we need to update sometimes some of these, what's virtuous, not in terms of some kind of, because it fits with our ideology or modern sort of way of thinking, but in terms of society, what does cause harm? I talk about Thupten Jinpa, I just recently took to Jimbo dog. He was so old that he had to have the dog put down, and we did this to our cat. So you're thinking, well, this is killing, right? I'm taking the life of another being. So if you follow the law to the letter, then it is a kind of killing, isn't it? It is a kind of killing. But if we think about it in terms of what it actually is and where and who's getting and what are we doing and what is our motivation and who's getting hurt and who's not getting hurt, then it takes on a different flavor. So what is virtuous and what is non-virtuous, I would say is not, I'll probably get told off for this, but it's not written in stone. It can, I remember when we were in Dharamsala when we were young and wet behind the ears, as we say. And do you have that expression? Wet behind the ears. It means no experience. And my kids, they got lice. And there was no way to get rid of those lice except to kill them. There was no way. I mean, you comb, it doesn't work. And so I did it, and then I read somewhere, well, if you're going to be a bodhisattva, if you're going to practice bodhicitta, you should have the courage to take on things. If you do something wrong, you should, and it causes you karmic consequence. Well, don't take it on. Don't be frightened. Don't run away from it, And we also had bed bugs. I mentioned this story. I don't know if many of you heard this story, but in my introduction to the translation of the life of Ling Rinpoche, Kabje Ling Rinpoche, I told a story, about bed bugs. And Ling Rinpoche lived just across the, John and Thupten Pemo will know this. He lived just across the road from, not across the road, on the outside of the hill. And we had bed bugs, and they were causing so much pain to the kids and to us. They bite, and you wake up in the morning covered in these red marks all over you. You can't do. They were such a nuisance, and we tried everything. This idea of standing the legs of the bed in cans of water so they couldn't get up, cleaning out the bed, which Indian beds were knocked together, pieces of wood, cleaning in between the cracks in the wood, and the joints in the wood, but nothing happened. And I didn't want to start using poison because, as I said, we were a bit naive. So I said, I'm going to go and see Ling Rinpoche. I'm going to ask him what to do. So I went over, and Kungala, his attendant, came out the house. And I said, can I see Rinpoche, please? And he said, well, he's a bit busy right now. He's got someone in there. What do you want? So I told him about the bed bugs. What shall I do? He said, wait a minute. So he goes in, and he came out, 30 seconds later, he came out and he says, Rinpoche says he knows nothing about bed bugs. So, and oh, great. So I went back home, and we went to bed. And the next day, not a single bed bug was there. And from that day onwards, we never had another bed bug. I swear that's true. I'm not making that up. We never had another bed bug. So there you go. Why am I talking about bed bugs? Anyway, oh yeah, the 10 unwholesome actions. Yeah, they're important. Yeah, very important. They are the basic ethical basis upon which all practice, is based. Those 10. They have some similarity with the 10 commandments, but as I said, the 10 actions here have reasons behind them. They're wrong for a reason. They're not wrong because Buddha said they're wrong. they are wrong for a reason. If you understand the reasons, then it makes more flexibility with them. That's not to say you can start, make your faith, confidence strong. Where's that? Deba. The Tibetan just says faith. There's nothing about confidence in the Tibetan. Yeah, it just says faith. Why the confidence? I don't know. Faith is make your faith strong. Again, it's rather like the first instruction: abandon all doubts. Make your faith strong. Okay, I'll make my faith strong. How do you make your faith strong? How do you believe in something that you cannot see, you cannot touch, you cannot feel? How do you believe in it? Should you believe in it? We are Westerners with critical intelligence, are we not? We don't just accept things because a particular religious tenet says so, right? So how do you have faith? Well, I'm sure you all know there are three kinds of faith. There's faith in the sense of belief. Belief means that you believe that there is a past and future life, that there is a kind of natural law of as you sow, so shall ye reap, that exists as a law called karma in Buddhism. You believe in that not that we were created by God or Brahma or simply by our parents, but you believe that. And you believe that it is possible to attain nirvana, that it is possible to free yourself from this cycle of suffering, and you believe that the cause of this suffering, that you believe that in these things. So this kind of belief is, as Dalai Lama always says, it should be shene deba, which means belief through knowing. You shouldn't just accept things. I mean, this kind of belief is one that is based upon examining. You all see, and especially in the Gelugpa tradition, you see people debating, and it all sounds like, oh, they're just shouting and screaming, and maybe it's very good for sort of making you sharp and intelligent, but what good is it for practice? Where's the meditation? The criticism is hurled at the Gelugpa and the Sakya tradition for what they do. But debate is a kind of discussion and a kind of analytical process which gets to the very bottom of things, in which nothing is sacred. In debate, nothing is sacred. It shouldn't be sacred. Sometimes it is, but it shouldn't be. The Dalai Lama said we should be like scientists. We should start with a blank piece of paper on that which nothing is written. And we write on that according to our insight, what we know to be true. That is our path, not the fact that the Buddha said this and this Lama said that, not that we should have, we should gain our belief and our faith through knowing. And here knowing doesn't necessarily mean knowing, directly in some kind of experience, not necessarily, but knowing through meditating. This is before I said that meditating was a process of cultivating. This is cultivating insight, analytical meditation. What is this? The Dalai Lama says, every morning when I get up, the first thing I do is ask myself, where is this I? I get up, I sit here. Where is it? Is it? Go through my whole body. Where is it? Can I find it? This is analytical meditation, by doing this again and again, as I said before, if you have any doubts, meditate on emptiness. That's what Aryadeva said. If you have doubt about the obscure, hidden things, meditate on emptiness. That will help to overcome the kind of possibility of, why? Because meditating emptiness is big picture stuff. It's big picture, really big picture. It is the reality, right? It is the reality of everything, you know. If you think, I mean, you know, sometimes Buddhism amazes me. The Buddha said everything, the Buddha's teaching is founded on two truths, on the two truths, ultimate and conventional truth. He said, you know, that is the, you know, that is the basis on Buddha's teaching. And if you think about what that actually means, it's not just something you read in a book. Or, the reality is that everything that we know, experience, exist in our world, inner world, outer world, whatever it is, has two levels of truth about it. One, which is a level of appearance. It just appears in a certain way, and we like it or we don't like it. It's the level, it's the world in which we operate. It's the one that causes us pain and happiness and joy, and it's the level on which cause and effect operates. That it's the, in Tibetan it's known as ma. The level is an appearance. It's kind of, you know, and that's the word. But there's another level behind that, and not behind that. Yeah, behind it, another level which is deeper and can be accessed only through penetrative analysis on wisdom. Just staring at something is not enough. That level, that level is that the ultimate, that the way things appear are not the actual final way they appear. There's something more hidden. These two levels of truth. One thing has two levels of truth on it. One thing, you know, this pencil has two levels of truth on it. It's not that those two levels of truth are different. They're both truths of the pencil, you know. And if you think about it, it's amazing, because I mean, our lives are mainly spent on the first level of truth, and conventional, ordinary, you know, and all our sort of anger and desire based on that. If we like something, we want it. We don't like something, we don't want it. All that comes from sort of believing in this appearance, this worldly appearance of which we are part. You know, I am something. Someone does something to me, I get upset. I demand my rights. I want this, I want that. You know, we are part. So His Holiness gets up in the morning and says, who am I? Where is this I? He's going beyond the superficial, conventional, you know, level of truth. You know, Jimba had just, I talk about a lot about Jimba. Tutin Jimba has just brought out his new translation of, not new translation, his translation of Tsongkhapa's commentary to Madhyamaka Avatara, Entering the Middle Way, by Chandrakirti. It's called Illuminating the Intent, which I have here. Yes, see, yeah. And he talks about this. He talks about this. And Tsongkhapa talks about this. Chandrakirti talks about this, and Tsongkhapa commentates on it. So, and this big picture stuff is valuable for living our lives, because it provides kind of deeper insight into the nature of reality. And if we know reality for what it is, then obviously we can live our lives better. Otherwise, we're just living a lie, right? We're living a kind of lie, a life that doesn't really, is not rooted in final reality, but just in mere appearance. You know, like the cat who looks in the mirror and then tries to get the cat in the mirror by going behind the mirror. And I mean, you've all seen that happen, with puppet dogs and cats, so they, you know, and even babies, you know, that kind of you know, level of you know, one of the words for ordinary living beings in Tibetan is chipa, which means child. It's not child in the sense of being childlike, it's child in the sense of not having a developed enough insight to really know what's going on. children can't be left. You can't just leave a child to sort of get on. They need parents. They need guiding. And so, you know, we are like children that sometimes need a bit of guidance. So faith, that kind of faith, belief, faith. No, the other kind of faith is another aspect of faith is called clear. It's called dhammadeva, clear faith. And one of the features of having faith is that the mind becomes untroubled. Untroubled. There is a wonderful verse in a sutra. I can't remember the name of the sutra. Talala, it's called Talala. It's a sutra. Anyway, it describes faith. It says, faith is the mother that gives birth to the qualities. It is an untroubled mind. And this word untroubled is very important because what it means is like water that has, where there is no mud or dirt, it's just clear water, clear sky. The mind is completely untroubled. And there's a kind of a beautiful sort of peace and contentment with this kind of faith. This is the kind of faith that has understood or knows the four truths, the two truths, and understands, you know, the refuge, you know, the three jewels, and the power, understands the path of what I as a being I can do. I do this, I do that, understand bodhisattva, all these things. And with this great sort of sense of belief, there is a kind of comfort. And it's not a false comfort. It's not a sort of not a comfort, not like a comfort food or a comfort blanket. These days they have comfort pets, don't they? People have dogs as comfort pets. It's not like that kind of comfort. It is a sort of it is a sort of a clarity, a clarity. And clarity here means your mind is untroubled by anxieties and doubts and fears. That is an aspect of faith. This is a second kind of faith. It's called dhamma. Dhamma also has a meaning of joy, joyful. It's a joyful faith. There's joyful clarity. I remember once I was in France with Jadol Rinpoche, and we went to a Christian monastery, and it was Evensong. I think it was Evensong, yeah. And we were sitting there, and all the monks, the Christian monks, are up chanting away. And there was one monk who was lost in bliss. His face was like, you know, he was singing, and you know, and we both looked up, and this Rinpoche's attendant said to me, "Well, he's really into it, isn't he?" And I think, yeah, it's that kind of faith that this man had in Jesus or God, you know, that kind of bliss, you know. Similar, but maybe in Buddhist faith, Christian faith, many similarities, but anyway. Then the other faith is a sort of a yearning. This is a faith that you want to be like somebody, you know. This faith is an active faith. It's not one that sits back and just enjoys the untroubled mind, but it is it's the kind of longing. You want to be like the Buddha, the bodhisattvas. You want to be like them, and you know that you can be like them because of you have something called Buddha nature, which we won't go into now. We haven't got time. Oh, we did that last time, didn't we? You can be like that. You can become, through meditation, through the cultivation of insight and cultivation of qualities, you can become, and you want to be like them. So you want to be, you yearn, you know, when you go like this, you know, in front of a statue, it's not just out of respect. No, it is, you know, you see in front of you something that you want to be. You know, there are two types of refuge, right? There's a causal refuge and resultant refuge. Causal refuge means is that the Buddha or the Dharma and the Sangha are objects that will grant you shelter, shelter, give me shelter. they will grant that. But resultant refuge is that you see the three jewels, or the Buddha anyway, and the Dharma, as something that you can become. That is your final result. That's your goal. That is resultant refuge. That is the sort of there's this yearning. It's like role models. The Buddha is a role model for. So faith is quite a complex little thing, really. I mean, it's one word and gets misused a lot, and people think that all faith is blind faith, but it isn't. It isn't. It's not. Blind faith is you believe in something without any reasoning whatsoever, but because you're told to believe in it, or because you feel that if you don't believe in it, you won't belong. So you believe in something because you want to belong to something. And it may, I'm not saying it's wrong, it may be very comforting, but it's blind in the sense that you don't know really why you're doing it, and you don't know whether it's genuine or not. You don't know whether this path is genuine. So anyway, I think faith is, Nagarjuna said, what did he say? Faith and wisdom are the prerequisites of practice. Faith and wisdom, prerequisite, they come first. And that sutra, faith is the mother that creates qualities. What she said? It is the best way to walk to the city of joy. Tibetan, it's the best. Actually, Tibetans is like the best legs. Ganga Pacho, the best way to walk. It's the best way to walk. Without faith, it's very difficult. I mean, to practice the kind of Buddhism that is the traditional kind of Buddhism that's taught. I mean, there may be, in the kind of secular teachings that the Dalai Lama gives, it's possible that, that kind of faith is not always necessary, because we only, practice by what we can see. We can see the power of compassion. We can see the power of love. We can see how it exists in some form in all of us. We can see how it can be developed. It's not necessarily a faith. It's a sort of a path, not secular Buddhism, but some kind of secular practice is not necessarily based upon faith, but traditional Buddhism is. And so, you choose what you want. If you're talking, or do tantric practice and you visualize yourself as some deity with 36 hands and 16 faces and an equal number of legs, and with all, there has to be some kind of faith in these deities, in these practices. Otherwise, what are you doing? It's just there has to be something. But that Tantra is Tantra, and it's very Tantra is strange. It's a really, the more I think about it, Tantra and Sutra, they are different, very different. Although they're both Mahayana, the rationale and the philosophy of Tantra is extraordinary. It's something that is not really. Amy, dash you delay.
I'm just hiding so I can drink my coffee.
Okay, go ahead, drink your coffee.
Okay.
Where was I? Yeah. Then it says, you better get on because I'll never finish. It says, with few wants, be content with what you have. Where is that? Oh, yeah. Yeah. A few wants means a few desires. This is often quoted as one of the Arya qualities. There's can't remember, the 7 qualities of the Aryas or something, Arya beings. One of them is having few wants, few needs. And it's very much something that's encouraged in the monastic community, that in monks and nuns shouldn't want so much. They should be happy with what they've got. You know, of course, that is something, you know, this is spiritual advice. It's not economic. It's not political. It's not saying be happy with what you've got. Not saying that. It's not that you can't better yourself or you can't make money. Of course you can. It's not about that. It's not about that. It's about personal happiness. What makes you happy? Is it happy to be constantly wanting the best of this, the best of, no, I mean, it's about, you know, we're expression, you know, we say you make your bed, you lie on it. Do you have that in America? You if you make your bed, you lie on it. You don't go and lie on someone else's bed. You lie on you make it. And so, or what's the other expression? You play the hand you've been dealt in cards. You know, you play the best hand you've got. You know, you don't wish you had a better hand, or the grass is greener somewhere else, or, you know, there's a lot of crap in life. There's a lot of shit in life. We have a lot of hard times, you know, and there are people better off than us. They have better lives. They have more money. They have, you know, better health. Kya karega? Kya kata hai, snehi? What to do? I think that's what contentment means. I don't think it necessarily means sort of sitting around some smiling face looking. It just means accepting our situation. It's not easy in this competitive world. And it's not to say that we shouldn't be competitive, but if competition makes us stressful and anxious, then what's the point? On the other hand, if, you know, if it doesn't, then okay, it's good to be ambitious. There's nothing wrong with that. But Atisha was talking, you know, 11th century Tibet. So, Derbachung, be content, have a few ones, be content with what you have. Yeah. Then it says repay kindness. Yeah, well, this is a great bodhicitta teaching, isn't it? I mean, thinking of the kindness. I always remember Lama Yeshe when he was in the West, and he whenever he went into some shop and there was automatic doors, you know, when you get to the doors open, and he would say thank you to the doors. I think that's great. You know, of course, you know, the doors have got no mind, they're not, but it doesn't matter. I remember when we were young, it was a tradition that when you got off a bus, you always thank the driver. And I still do that. And a lot of people do that, you know. Do you do that? Do you do that? Do you thank the driver when you get off a bus? I mean, he hasn't really gone out of his way for you. It's just his job. But that's not the point, is it? As Shantideva says, it's not the point. Shantideva says, you know, these texts that you read and give you so much joy. A book gives you joy and happiness. It doesn't have any intent to make you happy, but it still gives you happiness, so you feel gratitude. You know, and also thinking about the kindness of others. I remember once I was in Israel, again with Jadal Rinpoche, and we were by the Dead Sea. I don't know if you've ever been to the Dead Sea, but boy, is it dead. I mean, it's so dead, man. I mean, there's nothing in it but salt. And the ground around it is all desert and sand. And we were staying in some, I don't know whether it was a kibbutz or, and there was one patch that was green, that was grass growing. And someone long ago had, you know, taken a lot of time and effort to plant grass seeds. And Jadal Rinpoche turned to me and he said, do you think about the kindness of the person who went through so much trouble to plant this grass so that we could stand on it today? And I said, Rinpoche, honestly, no, I don't. He said, I do. You know, So, I mean, it doesn't matter whether the person doing it deliberately for you, it doesn't matter. It's a kindness. It's a kindness, you know. We live in the West. We are very fortunate. We moan and we complain, but we are very fortunate. I receive a pension. I can go to any hospital and I don't pay a penny for my treatment. You know, how fortunate is that? You know, somewhere down the line, you know, 1948, the Labour government under Aneurin Bevan started the National Health Service, which meant that no one would ever pay for hospital treatment ever again, unlike America. And so, you know, we have this jewel in our crown. It's a great kindness. Every time I go to hospital, which fortunately is not that often, but I have been, and I come away, I think, well, you know, these people, I don't know them. They don't know, I don't know them. They don't know me. And yet they do something to improve my health. And that's it. And I'll never see them again. How can you not think that that is a kindness? It's a huge kindness, just as the guy who drives the bus. And so I think thinking of kindness is not only thinking about deeds or acts that someone has deliberately done for you, like someone's lent you some money, and you, or someone has sort of helped you build something. It's not that. That's fine, but everything. And I think by doing that, one of the effects it has is it connects us all. We all become connected. We all become somehow intertwined with each other because of that, and that helps me because she did that and she did that and he did that, and we all become intertwined. We're not sort of individuals, you know, on our own, as Margaret Thatcher said. We are society. Society is a homogeneous whole of human beings, all of whom sort of depend on each other. You know, it's this great mass of dependent origination. And thinking of the kindness of others, I say this, but I rarely do it. But you know, to me, it's something I wish I should do more of. Is to think about every time you go in a shop. You know, you buy something. You buy a banana. Right? This banana has been grown in some country somewhere in South America or Israel or India by someone's picked it and they've packed it and has made a journey and been unloaded and put in the supermarket. Hundreds of people all been involved in bringing this one banana to you. What do? You eat it and then you throw it away and then forget about it, right? That's what we do, right? We don't think about that. Well, you know, Lama Zopa is very good at this. He's very good. He everything he eats, and he thinks deeply about this whole chain of dependent to chain, and thinks about the kind. And you know, it's I think it's great. So, repay any kindness that you receive. That's very good. Then it says, overcome anger and arrogance, and let humility rule your mind. Give up any unwholesome kind of living and pursue a livelihood in keeping with Dharma. Oh, very difficult. Very, very difficult. Oh yeah. Anger. Yes, anger. Well, we all know about anger. We don't need to talk about it. Anger is like a fire. It's like a violence of the mind. It kind of blinds us to reason. It destroys reason. It doesn't have much good about it. Even righteous anger. You have to be careful with righteous anger. So no, righteous anger by its very name is righteous, right? So therefore you can do what you like because, hey, I'm in the right here. This is righteous. I'm fighting for justice. I don't know. I think we have to be careful about righteous anger. You know, can you be righteous without anger? Can you, you know, I always know that when I hear these great lamas, especially like people like Trijang Rinpoche and Dalai Lama, Ling Rinpoche, whenever they mention something, some kind of injustice, either in the world or in their own Tibetan community, when they talk about it, they talk about it with sadness, not with anger. It's so sad, you know, even when they're talking about, you know, monks who have gone astray or lamas who have gone astray, and, you know, they talk about it with, oh, so sad, you know, you shouldn't have done this, you know. It's not, there's no anger there. So, of course, I don't know, I'm not anyone to say, but which is the best to dealing with a situation? Calm, compassionate mind, or angry mind? Which is the best? Arrogance is ngagya, which means pride. The word for pride in Tibetan is I am great. Nga gyalbo. A gyal is like king or victorious. Nga I am. It's that kind of. So arrogance, pride, haughtiness are different. Again, there are different types of pride. You know, they say that if you don't tame your mind, then if you spend a whole lifetime sort of studying, you can become very proud. And when you get old, it's impossible to change. Tibetans, your mind becomes rigid, and then you can't change. You know, pride is pride is thinking that you, even if it is true, that you have some good qualities, and you kind of sort of hone in on those good qualities and think that I am, because of these qualities, I am much better than other people. And that even if it is true, you know, it is not so much, even if it's true. I mean, you know, it's a pride is when you use that fact to sort of bolster your own sense of worth. You know, that's pride, you know. But, you know, like in English, the word in Tibetan is not always bad. You know, sometimes it's okay to be proud, isn't it? You're proud, you can be proud of something, you can be proud of something you've done. Why not? You know, you've done something good. Okay, you feel good about it. You feel there's a certain level of pride, which is okay. His Holiness talks about this in the book. I know I keep mentioning the Dalai Lama, but that's because I've done this book, and he talks about, you know, it's okay. And he tells Tibetans in audiences, you should be proud of your culture. You should be proud of your language. You should be proud of being Tibetans. Is he telling them to be nationalistic? No. He's not flag waving sort of nationalism, not that kind of, a deep sense of, I don't know, confidence and pride in your culture, your people, your abilities, your life, your achievements. I think that's okay to feel good about yourself sometimes, but it's a fine line. Sometimes we immerse ourselves in false humility. Oh, I haven't done it. I'm so stupid. I'm useless. I haven't done anything, and we beat ourselves up, and so it's not good. It's not good. I mean, I wouldn't go as far as the kind of self-assertiveness that people talk about. You know, sometimes that goes too far. You know, where you sort of build yourself up. People talk about you should love yourself, have compassion for yourself. That's very true. But it has to be done in a way that it doesn't turn into this me thing. And pride is difficult. In Tantra, the same word is used, divine pride. When you imagine yourself as a deity, it's the same word, ngagye. Same word, you know, la ngagye. La means deity, ngagye means divine pride. It's the same word. What is that pride? It's not, look at me, I'm Yamantaka, you're not. And it's not that, is it? It's a kind of confidence of knowing who you are and what you are at that particular time. You know, the thing, a lot of these deities are quite wrathful, and that requires a certain amount of wrathfulness, you know, and a certain amount of power. I mean, the deities that we imagine ourselves to be are all omniscient. They have powers, and of course, although it's just imagination, it's not real. It's not real. Nevertheless, we pretend it's real for the purposes of practicing the path. We have to pretend. Yeah, we conceive of ourselves as a deity. We're not. And that is a pride. It's a very fine line between deluded pride and positive pride. It's kind of something, we in the West, maybe we need to work it out. It's good. Often you see lamas that I know, when you go and see a lama, on the whole, they're not sort of meek and mild, timid people, are they? Their power about them, their power, their confidence. And the Dalai Lama, he always talks about it. We should have, there's a positive way. I talked about this last time, a positive way of apprehending I. There's a positive sense of, there's a positive me, and there's a negative me. And the positive I can take pride in. If you win something, you pride in it. Anyway, that is, overcome arrogance, ignorance. Member Senda Dembaja. It says here, have a humble mind. There's nothing about rule your mind here. It says, be possessed. Member means low. Humble, we would say humble, I think. Have a low mind. It means not puffed up. It's the word for, one of the words for pride is kengba, which means to be full. You're full of yourself. The opposite of that is to be humble. So it means, humble. I mean, in the 8 verses of training in the mind, Langari Tongpa says, whenever I meet, may I hold myself to be the lowest of all. You're in a group of people. It's not that you should become some kind of timid, insignificant doormat for everyone to walk on, that you feel, not like that. This is an antidote to competitiveness. When you're with people, you want to be, they say something and then you want to match what they have said because they've done this. Oh, I did. I went. You want to match, always want to be on the, you compete with them. They've done this, and that kind of competitive mind. Get out. Let people do. Let people talk about how wonderful they are. Let them do it. Who cares? It's fine. I sit there, just be happy. If you're on the ground, you've got no place to fall from, right? No. So I think that's what it means, humility. Then it says something about give up unwholesome kind of living, lopator. Abandon the wrong livelihood. This is wrong livelihood. I mean, this is, you probably know all about these. There are 5 or 6 ways of getting things or making a living in a wrong way, like hinting. You want something and someone else has got it, and you tell them that, oh, I wish I had, or something like that. I wish I had. You try and get things through hints and something like that. I wrote them down somewhere. I can't remember where they are now. Anyway. Oh yeah, flattery. Yeah, flattery. Flattery. I always think advertising is kind of wrong livelihood because they kind of flatter you. They try and make you feel good. You go into a shop and, oh, hello, how are you today? And they try and make you feel good, right? And sort of tell you how. Is that a kind of flattery? I don't know, because they want to sell you something, right? So I always said those businesses that they say as their slogan, we care. What do you care about? I mean, we care. As saying, look, we are really kind-hearted, loving people who have no interest in profit, but we just do it for the sake because we are so compassionate. We care. No, you don't. You care about making money. I mean, maybe I'm a bit harsh, but you know what I mean? businesses are very good at sort of manipulating feelings in order to get you to buy. You know, so you know, flattery, being deceptive, begging, soliciting, threats. Oh yeah, giving something little to get something big in return. That's good, isn't it? You give something, you give a little present to somebody who's got more money than you, knowing that then later on they'll give you something better. This kind of, you know, in the beginning, you know, as a translator, I had I did all my translations for nothing. I mean, I did them for free because I felt it wasn't right to sell the Dharma. But now I don't do that anymore. You know, I think it's okay, you know, to make a living through translating. Why not? You know, I'm not selling the Dharma in order purely for money. It makes me money, great, but why not? I have to live, you know. And also, if you look about the life stories of the Tibetan translators, you know, they demanded gold in return for translating. So I think we have to be careful, you know. I mean, otherwise we can't be too sort of go to an extreme where we want to do everything for nothing and just sacrifice our. It's looking into your mind, and you know, you are the best judge of yourself. You know, there's a saying in Tibetan: I myself, I am my own protector. I am my own guide. You know, so I don't think. Anyway, I won't talk about that. How about it? Oh yeah. Do away with your addiction to material things and adorn yourself with the riches of the Arya. Yeah, it just says abandon all possessions. It doesn't say anything about addiction. The word Sangxing actually possessions, yeah, material things. Just get rid of them. I mean, obviously it doesn't mean literally, otherwise, you know, we wouldn't be having this conversation because I wouldn't have a laptop. But I mean, it means, again, you know, not being so obsessed by sort of having the best of this and the best of that. And adorn yourself with the riches of the Aryas, or the wealth of the Arya beings, which are then listed underneath. In the Tibetan, these are in a different part of the text, but the translator has put them here, which I think is good. Riches of the Aryas, wealth, the same word. He's changed the word here, but it's the word in Tibetan is nor, like norbu, you know, norbu, nor. Anything that is seen as some kind of possession, some kind of luxury item. It also means jewel, you know, jewel, norbu. And there are these seven. They are faith, discipline, generosity, learning, decency, self-control, wisdom. These are the seven riches. So the first one is faith, which we've been through. The next one is sutrim, which sometimes is translated as morality, sometimes as ethics. I like ethics. Ethics here is the different types of ethics, from the base of ethics of keeping your vows, monastic or lay vows, to the essential nature of ethics, which is living a life that doesn't hurt anybody. That's the nature of ethics. You know, ethics, being an ethical person doesn't mean not banking with this company because it invests in some dodgy company. That's not ethics, you know, because it's not something in your own mind. Ethics is a state of mind. It's the second paramita, and all the 6 paramitas are states of mind. Shantideva makes this very clear. They're states of mind. They're not physical things. Ethics is a state of mind. It is a clean, wholesome mind that is endowed with a sense of shame, decency, embarrassment. You know, it is that kind of mind. I mean, that kind. They say people who have good ethics shine. in Tibetan, you can always tell someone has got good ethical discipline because there's something radiating about their skin. You know, I knew Geshe like this once. Yeah, Geshe Sunamrinchen in the library. He had a shine about him, and so, you know, ethics is a whole subject. There's tantric ethics, bodhisattva ethics. There's the you know, monastic parimoksha ethics. There's a whole range of ethics. The books have been written about ethics, but basically ethics is described as the earth upon which everything else is built, you know, of the three higher trainings. The first one is ethics, right? Ethics, concentration and wisdom. Ethics, sutrim, shila in Hindi, Sanskrit, shila. Generosity, giving. Again, giving is described as tongwa. Here the word is not jimba, but tongwa. Tongwa means a mind that is ready to give up everything, you know. So therefore, giving is not the preserve of rich people. we say the rich should pay more taxes. They're rich. They can give. We can't give. We're poor. No. In Buddhism, no. Giving doesn't mean necessarily just giving away lots of money. It is a mind that it doesn't hold on to anything. Even beggars can practice giving, even if they have nothing. Milarepa had nothing at all. He had a pot and a cloth. That's all he had, you know. You say he can't practice giving? How could you attain enlightenment? He attained enlightenment in one life. In order to attain enlightenment, you have to practice the six perfections. So therefore, he must have perfected giving. If he had nothing to give, how can he practice it? It's got nothing to do with physical giving. It's to do with a state of mind that you're ready to give up. The word tongwa means to send forth a mind that just, okay, you know, even if you have nothing, you're ready to give it. So that's important, I think. Yeah, of course, we all need sponsors, don't we? We need the other type. I rely upon sponsors for all the payment I get for translations comes from wealthy people, mostly in America, who are happy to pay for me to translate. So yeah. So we need that type of giving as well. Oh dear. Then where are we? Giving. Yeah, learning. Learning here refers to all kinds of study. The word in Tibetan means listening. You may see listening, contemplation, meditation, but listening actually, because in those days, that's what you did. In ancient India, you sat down and you listened. You probably couldn't read, and you certainly didn't have access to loads of books. If you did, you didn't have the internet, there was nothing. If you wanted a teaching, you went and you listened, and there was no recording, and if you missed it, you missed it. So you listen again and again and again and again. That's called tapa. But these days we would call it big study, or what's he called here? Learning, yeah, learning. Then next one, decency. This word, funny enough, I was translating this word yesterday in a Kadampa. The word here is not decency. It's more like, there's two, decency, self-control. Well, I don't know. The way that these two here are normal. The first one is a sense of embarrassment or a sense of shame because you've done something which you shouldn't have done in a particular kind of setting. I am a community. I am a monk. I am a human being, you know. And if I do something, even if I do something secretly that nobody knows about, I think I can get away with it because nobody knows, you know. I have these bad thoughts, I have these fantasy thoughts, or I stuff myself full of chocolate in the middle of the night, or whatever, you know, and nobody knows. The idea of shame is not very well received these days in the West, because it's seen to be some kind of self-deprecation, where you sort of actually somehow beat yourself up. But it's not that. It doesn't mean that. These two together are often coupled with each other. It means that if you do something bad, you should feel bad about it. If you do something good, you feel good about it. Like I said, you bit pride. But if you do something bad, you feel bad about it. Even if no one else thinks it's bad, you feel bad about it. You shouldn't have done it. Then you feel bad about it, and you move on. You purify it. You try to somehow put it right, and you move on. You don't let it sort of eat you up, or sort of, you don't beat yourself up about it. But the other extreme also, you don't think, oh, it doesn't matter. Nobody knows. You don't do that. That's what this means. Cheyu in Tibetan means this sense of shame. And the Kadampa master, in his book I was translating yesterday, he said, I have the Buddhas, they come and sit on my head, on my crown. By sitting on my crown, they can see my shameful mind, my shameless. What's shameless and shameful? Interesting. They kind of have the same meaning, don't they? Shameful mind, this kind of, just because no one has seen you do it. It's a kind of it should be a positive practice, So why there are two of them is one is on the basis of you do something that you shouldn't do in a society, because it's frowned upon, And if you think, well, I don't care what people think of me. Well, maybe you should. Sometimes it's important to think what people think of you, to take notice of what people think of you, because hey, these people, there are many, and you're just one, and maybe they're right, So in Tibetan society, it's you never see Tibetans get angry in the street. Never. They just don't do it. They might do it inside, but they don't do it in the street because it's frowned upon. It's a societal rule. You don't do it. So it acts as a kind of censor. We all know, I know that's a dangerous word, censorship, society, the censorship of society, so communal censorship, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not, right? I sometimes think we live in a sensorial society right now. We can't do this, we can't see this, we live in that now. Is it for the good? I don't know. Is it for the bad? I don't know. But anyway, there's that. The other kind is that you shouldn't do it because you shouldn't do it. If I go out and get blind drunk and spend all my money on drugs and alcohol, I come back and I think, well, I shouldn't have done that. I have responsibilities. I have a wife, I have family. I have this. It's just not a good thing to do. Maybe that's what they mean by decency here. But in Tibetan, the word often is translated as a sense of shame, a sense of modesty. And the other one is often described as conscious, a conscience. Yeah, a conscience, having a conscience about something. So these two things, these days, you can say, I'm going to go out and flaunt myself and I'll do whatever I want. And I got freedom to do this. It's my right. I don't care what other people think. Okay, do it. But Buddhism is talking about maybe you shouldn't do that. Just have some sense of propriety, have some sense, self-control. Maybe some self-control, decency. I can see where these two terms are coming from now. But if you get the point, there are these two. They come in, they're secondary minds, in the 51 secondary minds by Asanga and Vasubandhu. You'll see that these two are there and they're always together. Anyway, and wisdom. Wisdom of the rare. Yes, wisdom. Shut up. Generally, the word wisdom, when you see the word wisdom, it's prajna or jnana, or sharab, it means having the ability to discern what is this and what is that, what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong. This is this is that, this is that. That's wisdom. It's not some kind of or sort of august, sort of owl-like sort of creature sitting there, dispensing. It's not that. Wisdom is sharp. It's Manjushri's sword. It's sharp. It's knowing. It's sharp. There's different kinds of wisdom. There's clear, sharp, profound. I know 7 of them. If you do Manjushri sadhana, you can get these 7. I think there's 7 of them or 5 of them. I don't know. Anyway, it's sharp, it's clear, it's knowing, and it's profound. That is wisdom. It's that, and you get that at least in this particular tradition through meditating, contemplating, and penetrating into the nature of reality. That's the greatest wisdom. Sometimes this word is translated as intelligence. I don't know if that's right, but again, in 51 secondary minds, there are 5, and one of them is sharab. And that sharab everybody has, right? But not everyone has wisdom, do they? So, I mean, the word wisdom is not always a good translation, but it means the ability to discern, right? The discerning ability, not like the child who stares at the statues in the temple and in wonder, like they just sort of all these hands and deities and faces just come on them. That isn't wisdom. It may be concentration, it may be a lot of things. Wisdom is knowing, So those are the 7. Are there 7? Yeah, 7 treasures that never run out. Yeah, never run out. Unlike ordinary treasure, you spend your money, you haven't got any. These just grow and grow, especially if you meditate on them and develop them. That's why they said, never run out. These are, Miseba means never ending. Never ending. Yeah, they never end. Bodhicitta, something that never ends, right? It's like what's that proverb? It's like that doesn't matter. Then there comes this next line, which is one of the most strangest lines I've ever read in a text. It says, "Do not speak of this to those who are not human." These 7. So I don't know how many non-human friends you have, but next time you meet one, just be careful, right? I don't know what this means. I think there are 2. My first thought, and I may be wrong, is I think it sounds like a joke to me. Non-human doesn't mean dogs and animals. The word in Tibetan, Mimayimba, is a special word that means like ghosts and spiritual and sort of spirits in them. Don't talk to them. Don't teach these 7 to ghosts. Why not? I don't know. I'd be quite honestly, I don't know what this means. This particular, I think Jimba doesn't even translate it. I think he even leaves it out. When he translates it, he doesn't even I don't think he even talks about it. So always with your flaws, take no pleasure, abandon attachment. Yes. Yes. It doesn't even. Oh, the wealth of gift. These are the 7 Richards. Oh yeah, he says, "Do not speak of these to those not human." I'll leave you with that thought, and you can make of that as you will. So, Panch baji ho gaya. Yeah, Panch baji hai.
बिल्कुल
Ah, bilkul ठीक है.
बिल्कुल ठीक
Acha. Okay. Thank you very much. Sorry for rambling on. We've still got a lot to do, but we should finish. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Be good.
Gavin. Thank you, everybody.
Have
See
a
you next
nice
week.
day.
You
too.
too.
Bye.
See you next week.
Bye.
Hello, Joy. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Thank you all.